The Chicago History Museum preserves the rich history of our city, while the bright visionaries we honor tonight are creating a more robust future. Join us as we proudly salute the 27th Annual Making History Award honorees. Baseball Hall of Famer and Chicago Cubs ambassador Ryan D. Sandberg. History Makers Oral Collection Series founder and president Julianna L. Richardson. And Citadel Investment founder and CEO Kenneth C. Griffin. Let's join together as we celebrate three idealists leading the way for a better Chicago.
Good evening. My name is Ali Velshi, and I'd like to welcome you to the Chicago History Museum's 27th Annual Making History Awards. Here we are, virtual again. When I hosted the 2020 event last fall, I told you that I look forward to finally seeing you all in Chicago next year, which is this year. Well, COVID had other plans, so we're staying safe a little longer, but that's okay because we've all become pros at this virtual thing. There's a good chance that I'm actually not muted right now, which is progress for me. And honestly, we have such a great program tonight with truly remarkable honorees that I bet you will love it almost as much as the festive in-person gatherings that we have held through the years and to which we will return. This is my 9th time serving as MC for the Making History Awards. It is such an honor to me to be involved as a trustee with such a prestigious organization and institution of the likes of the Chicago History Museum. Tonight, we come together to provide vital support during a very, very challenging time. The Chicago History Museum, like so many other organizations we cherish, has been forced to deal with the tough realities of the moment in which we are living. And it has met those challenges head on, continuing to help the public connect with the city and with its history. Even when we were still in quarantine and the doors remained closed, the team found creative ways to tell Chicago's stories. Well, now, thankfully, the situation in the United States and in Chicago is turning around as we see fewer COVID cases and more vaccinations. The Chicago History Museum is experiencing its own positive momentum as well. The building is once again open to visitors. New exhibitions are opening, and some exciting construction projects are underway. In other big news, the museum has a brand new president and CEO. Donald Lassere is a Chicago native who is an innovator, and he's the right fit to lead our beloved museum. Donald has bold plans for the future. He's gotten off to a strong start since taking the helm in April. Donald, of course, replaces Gary Johnson, who is retired after more than 15 years of leadership. Gary is the reason that I'm here before you tonight. He introduced me to the museum. He invited me to join the board several years ago. And I have been proud to be part of the mission ever since, and to get to know Gary as a person and as a friend. I want to take a moment here and personally wish Gary well as he begins the next chapter in his remarkable life. Gary will be with us as President Emeritus tonight, introducing one of the 2021 honorees. So with much new happening at the museum, let's start there. We'll first take a look at a video of the current projects underway at the museum, and then we're going to hear from the museum's current and fantastic board chair, Dan Jaffe, who was part of the committee that selected our new president. After that, we're going to be introduced to Donald himself and to tonight's honorees. And just before I turn it over to the museum team, I do want to remind you all watching that tonight's event provides critical support to the museum. And you can help make a difference by at any point donating online, anytime you want. All you do is you go to www.chicagohistory.com/MHA or text CHM at 243-725.
The Chicago History Museum shares Chicago's stories in vivid detail and brings history to life. The museum is open with safety protocols in place. Experience their brand new and permanent exhibitions. There are so many discoveries awaiting your next visit. Their newest exhibition, Vivian Mayer in Color, brings the famed photographer into sharp focus. Mayer died before her life's work was shared with the world. She left behind hundreds of prints, 100,000 negatives, and about 1,000 rolls of undeveloped film that were never shown publicly, gifting us the mystery of an elusive woman behind the camera. In this multimedia show, the ordinary parts of life turn extraordinary through Vivian Mayer's lens. Never-before-seen luminous ectochrome color prints, quotations, and sound bites from the artist, and film clips she shot are on display. Hike through the crossroads of America and step aboard Chicago's first L train. While you're at the museum, be sure to take a stroll back through 20th century Chicago amid the wonder of Millions of Moments, the Chicago Sun-Times photo collection. It's the newspaper's stunning photo archives spanning the 1940s to the early 2000s. 150 striking images chronicle the city's life, sports, entertainment, and politics across 60 years. There are plenty of other events to look forward to, including a landmark exhibition that will open in October commemorating the 150th anniversary of the Chicago Fire. City on Fire, Chicago 1871, will be a timely reminder of destruction and rebirth as we emerge from today's pandemic. On the east side of the building in Lincoln Park, the Richard M. and Shirley H. Jaffe History Trail is blooming. It will include an interpretive path about the history of the city, as well as a native species garden dotted with fresh landscaping. Naming opportunities for many trail features are now available. Beneath the path and inside the building, necessary renovations to the museum's underground research collection storage facility are well underway. This huge undertaking will ensure that the museum's collections stay protected and preserved for generations. Completion is expected in late 2021. Take a stroll inside or outside. Whatever you do, history surrounds you at the Chicago History Museum.
Good evening. My name is Dan Jaffe, and I'm happy to be with you tonight as the new chair of the Board of Trustees of the Chicago Historical Society. As it moves forward from the pandemic, the museum is in a great position, thanks in no small part to the leadership of our former president, Gary Johnson. Because of this, we were able to attract a strong field of candidates to lead CHM into the future, and Donald Lassere sat a grade above the others. He is obviously a person with ambition and intellect, but he is also a unique innovator with a high EQ and a real people person. A born and raised Chicagoan himself, we strongly believe he is the right fit as we rise to the challenge of ensuring we truly represent and share the stories of all of Chicago. And tonight is a special night where we get to share the stories of extraordinary individuals who have made Chicago a better place. Congratulations are in order for our 2021 honorees. We thank you for your commitment and contributions to our great city. We can't wait to share your extraordinary stories in just a moment. Tonight is also a time to say our thank yous. I want to first thank all of the museum staff who have adapted so well to recent challenges and brought both creativity and resilience to their work. Our community of trustees, Guild and Costume Council members also deserve credit for continuing to support and lead CHM in its mission during an uncertain time. And finally, a huge thank you to all of our event chairs and donors tonight. Your support of the Making History Awards is an incredibly important part of the museum's ability to preserve and showcase the rich history of Chicago. With so many exhibitions, programs, and projects on the go, 2021 is certainly shaping up to be yet another exciting and productive year at the Chicago History Museum. And now, I'm pleased to introduce the individual who will be leading us through 2021 and beyond, our new president and CEO, Donald Lassere.
Donald Lassere navigated a circuitous route on his way back home. He and his identical twin were born in Chicago and graduated from Percy Julian High School. He continued his education track for many more years, attaining a law degree from Georgetown, an MBA from Harvard Business School, and a BS in Business Administration from the University of San Francisco. He spent years in the corporate world, including at Enron, the once high-flying Houston energy company that collapsed in 2007. That was all the impetus he needed to switch to the nonprofit sector. Before joining the History Museum, Lassere was the CEO and director of the Muhammad Ali Center in Louisville.
He was a great inspiration to me growing up. And as a native Chicagoan, he was a great inspiration to many, many of my childhood friends here in Chicago. And he also lived here.
At the center, Lassere tripled attendance by engaging with diverse audiences, something he also plans to do in Chicago.
It's important because we really need to make sure that we diversify our audience and that we have a significant impact on the community of Chicago.
His vision for the museum also includes making history accessible to all.
We need to make sure that everyone who comes here sees themselves, they understand their history, that everyone understands the significant role that each community has played in making Chicago such a great city. Hello, I'm Donald Lassere, the new president and CEO of the Chicago History Museum. It is my great honor to be with you all tonight for my first ever Making History Awards. I want to take a moment just to let you know how thrilled I am to be serving here at CHM. As a proud, born and raised Chicagoan, it is my great privilege to lead the museum whose mission is to share Chicago's stories. I want to build on the great work that has already happened here at the museum and have this place to be a space which truly brings our entire community together. We will continue our efforts to make sure that the museum is accessible to all, interesting to everyone, and tells the true story of Chicago's history. Over the past couple of months, I have connected with our staff and am struck by their innovative ideas and dedication. Each team has brought their all to the table as the organization has continued to navigate this uncertain phase in our history. We will continue to adapt, redefine how we share Chicago's stories as we go, bringing in new and diverse voices in as many new and exciting ways as we can. If you are from Chicago, you're going to see yourself here at the museum. And if you're just visiting, you're going to learn what makes Chicago such a great and interesting city. Of course, all the work that we do and have planned for the future will not be possible without the support of donors like you watching at home this evening. As our most important fundraising event, our thanks tonight starts with our event chairs, whose leadership gifts have helped raise us to new heights. Thank you all for your amazing support of our mission this year. Chicago is better for it. The Making History Awards is a long-standing event that has honored so many great Chicagoans from all walks of life. I am amazed as I look at the names and faces of the giants in arts and culture, sports, business, and civic life who we've honored. They have all truly made Chicago a better, more vibrant place to live, and we are proud to have been able to tell each of their stories. As is tradition, we would like to recognize previous Making History honorees who have passed away since last year's awards program. This year, we remember Helmut Jahn, Jim Mabey, and Jack Sander. Let us share a moment of silence for them and all of those we have lost this year. I am so proud to welcome this year's inductees and thank them for their contributions and commitment to the great city of Chicago. Tonight, we recognize them for their impact on its history. We'll be giving 3 awards this evening. There will be a brief video highlighting each story of each honoree, followed by a few words from someone who knows them well, and then our honorees will share their acceptance. First up, we have an honoree who's a hero to baseball fans on the north side and even some on the south side. Cubs Hall of Famer, Sandberg.
Our first honoree was destined to become a ball player. After all, his parents named him for a relief pitcher, Ryan Duran. Yet in high school, he was an all-star football player in his hometown of Spokane, Washington.
Whatever was on TV, I'd watch it and then go out and play. Basketball, football, baseball, all those sports allowed me to make it to the major leagues and be an all-around athlete.
A high school All-American athlete, He was named to the 1978 edition of Parade Magazine's All-American Football Team, but he turned down opportunities for full scholarships to play college football.
I always wanted to be a professional athlete. That was my chance right then to sign with the Philadelphia Phillies, go to the minor leagues, get paid to play baseball, even at that level, and try and work my way up to be a major leaguer.
Sandberg worked his way up quickly with the Phillies organization, starting in the minors and rising to the majors. He was traded to the Chicago Cubs in 1982 at the age of 22. After going 0 for 31 in his first at-bats with the Cubs, the second baseman finally started swinging. And occasionally, he'd play other sports with teammates, including pitcher Fergie Jenkins, who advised him,
"We're going to have a quick game. We're going to win. I'm going to work quick because after the game, we're going to go across and play 18 holes at Waveland Golf Course."
In 1984, Sandberg's career was soaring. The Cubs were in the playoffs for the first time in 39 years. Sandberg leapt to new heights and was named the National League's most valuable player. He went on to play 15 seasons for the Cubs. He was a 10-time All-Star, 9-time Golden Glover, and 7-time Silver Slugger. In 2005, he was inducted into the Hall of Fame in only his third year of eligibility. He waxed on about his love for the game in his Hall of Fame acceptance speech.
"Everything I am today, everything I have today, everything I will ever be is because of the game of baseball."
It's his respect for the game, tireless drive, and seismic career that have made him a fan favorite.
Good evening. I'm Crane Kenny, the President of Business Operations for the Chicago Cubs. It's my distinct honor tonight to present Ryne Sandberg as the winner of the Amos Alonzo Stagg Making History Award for the Chicago History Museum. As everyone knows, Ryne Sandberg is the best second baseman to ever play baseball for the Chicago Cubs and one of the greatest players in our 145-year history. Ryne Sandberg grew up in Spokane, Washington, and what not everyone knows is that he was a three-sport star and probably known for his football prowess as much as his baseball prowess. In fact, he was named to the Parade Magazine All-American team in football and was recruited by a number of Division I schools, ultimately signing a letter of intent to play football in college. Thankfully, he was drafted by the Philadelphia Phillies in 1978 and began his career in baseball. He played for 16 seasons, 15 of those here in Chicago, and we're the better for it. Ryne Sandberg was a 10-time consecutive All-Star while playing for the Chicago Cubs. He was a 9-time consecutive Gold Glove winner as well. He was a 7-time Silver Slugger. He was the NL MVP in 1984. He was the NL home run leader in 1990 with 40 home runs. And he was the first second baseman to lead the NL in home runs since Rogers Hornsby did it in 1925. He, of course, was inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame in 2005. His number 23 flies on the Wrigley flagpole, as it was also retired in 2005. And since his career ended in 1997, Ryne Sandberg has continued to give back to this organization, both as a spring training instructor and in the minor leagues, where he managed at both the single A, double A, and triple A level, and was actually named the Pacific Coast League Manager of the Year in 2010 at AAA Iowa. In addition to all the work he did helping our club perform, he's also helped us off the field through Cubs charities. Ryne Sandberg's been an ambassador for many years here at Wrigley Field. He's helped Cubs charities raise millions of dollars to help the youth of this community. And he's also had an amazing career in media as well. You can hear Ryne Sandberg on The Score and on our own Marquee Sports Network. He also provided color commentary on ESPN after retiring. Ryne Sandberg has been an important part of this organization on the field, off the field, and through his continuing contributions in media and at spring training. It's my great honor to introduce Ryne Sandberg this year's winner of the Amos Alonzo Stagg Making History Award. Ryan?
Good evening, and thank you for this award. It's an honor to receive the Chicago History Museum's Making History Award. Thank you to the Chicago Historical Society. Growing up in Spokane, Washington, where I was a three-sport athlete, I was a Parade Magazine All-American football player, All-City basketball player, and All-State in baseball. I was a shortstop in the minor leagues that took me across the country and to Venezuela before being traded by the Philadelphia Phillies to the Chicago Cubs in 1982 as a 22-year-old. I started my career with the Cubs going 0 for 31, but it didn't take long after those first 10 games to find out that Cub fans and Wrigley Field were my friends. Chicago sports fans are second to none with their support and dedication to their Chicago sports teams. Wrigley Field quickly became a special place for me with day games, ivy on the walls, 162 games on WGN TV with Harry Carey and Steve Stone analyzing the play on the field. I realized then that Wrigley Field was my home ballpark and Chicago was my home. I learned that Chicago was the city of opportunity for me to grow up and spend 17 seasons in a Cubs uniform and the lessons learned to becoming a man and the person I am today. Speaking of opportunity, I had the opportunity to be around some of the Cubs greats from the start of my career: Ernie Banks, Billy Williams, Ron Santo, and Fergie Jenkins. I played with teammates that helped me take my game to a whole nother level: Bill Buckner, Lee Smith, Jody Davis, Rick Sutcliffe, Bob Dernier, Andre Dawson, Sean Dunston, and Mark Grace, just to name a few. I also saw some of the best players of my generation come into Wrigley Field as opponents and guys that I looked up to while growing up around the game. Guys like Pete Rose, Willie Stargell, Nolan Ryan, Steve Carlton, Ozzie Smith, and Mike Schmidt, just to name a few. I have called Chicago home for almost 40 years. My wife and I live on the North Shore. As I previously said, it was an honor to work 81 days a year in one of the most historic and popular sport venues in the world, Wrigley Field. When I joined the Cubs as a rookie, Wrigley Field was not anything like it is today. Our clubhouse was small, cramped, and located underneath the stands down the left field corner. Our dugout was windy and cold during the spring and hot in the summertime. Batting cages were located in the right center field under the bleachers, which was an inconvenience to the players. There wasn't much to eat in the clubhouse other than a peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, which became one of my favorites. And by the way, no weight room, but I loved every part of Wrigley Field. Today, the modern upgrades to the facility have made it more enjoyable for the players and fans while keeping the historic values and memories created since it was built in 1914, the second oldest park in the majors. I commend the Ricketts family for their investment and ensuring that Wrigley Field stays a hub of the city and a valued partner in the surrounding neighborhood. It is so rare today to see a professional sports stadium in the middle of a neighborhood, and it truly highlights the charm of Wrigley Field. My family lived on East Chestnut toward the end of my playing career and moved one block away, East Delaware, after my retirement. I took the iconic drive up Lakeshore Drive my final 2 seasons, going to Wrigley Field, and there was no better view to think about that day's starting pitcher or to reflect on the game on the way home. We enjoyed many dinners and family outings in and around Water Tower Place and the John Hancock Center. Chicago has played a huge role in our family history, from family weddings and baptisms at Old St. Pat's to a wedding reception at the iconic Drake Hotel. I had at least one meeting with Tribune execs at the Tribune Tower and also at the Wrigley Building. Chicago is the ideal city for me and my family. It's in the heart of the country. Great airports, O'Hare and Midway, great restaurants, great museums, great theater, the lakefront, and some of the greatest sports franchises in the country with historic traditions: Cubs, White Sox, Bulls, Bears, and Blackhawks. What else could you ask for? I have found Chicago to be a perfect place for a professional athlete or anyone to raise a family. I continue to live my lifelong dream as a member of the Chicago Cubs, as a team ambassador and analyst for the Marquee Network. Thank you to Tom Ricketts for your continued support. I consider myself a Midwesterner and a Chicagoan for life. I consider Chicago to be the best city in the country with tremendous history, Midwest values, and good people. I wish everyone here this evening a prosperous and healthy 2021. Thank you once again for this honor, and it's my pleasure to be with you tonight. Have a good evening.
Congratulations, Ryan. We know there are diehard Cub fans with us tonight, and we're sure it was a thrill for them to see you receive this award. Next up, we have the privilege of recognizing someone who's devoted so much of her life to preserving and sharing the stories of African Americans. She understands, and in fact lives, the Chicago History Museum's mission like few others. Julianna Richardson.
Julianna Richardson didn't intend to serve as a gatekeeper of African American history, but her life's journey led her to that result. The idea began forming in grade school while exploring origin stories.
It was just an epiphany because I, as a Black person, had a history that I didn't know anything about.
She grew up in a small Ohio town with an even smaller African American community. She attended Brandeis University and combined her love for the theater with American studies. She spent endless hours in the library studying little-told stories of African Americans that she was amazed to hear. Looking back became her guiding force to forge ahead. Before starting what was to become the largest African American video oral history in the United States, she graduated from Harvard Law School, worked as a corporate lawyer at Jenner & Block, headed a cable channel, and started one of the first home shopping networks called Shop Chicago. However, none of this sustained her creatively. A revelation came while at the Civil Rights Museum in Memphis that changed the course of her life. She knew the story of Martin Luther King Jr., but was unaware of the other men and women in the fight for freedom. A yearning to know more inspired her to build a home for the often untold and overlooked stories of African Americans. The History Makers Archive shares the stories of African Americans, from Pullman porters to Tuskegee Airmen, from Negro League baseball players to NASA scientists, and paints the story of African American life, experience, and culture. According to Richardson, none of this would have happened if she hadn't moved to Chicago.
I really do not think that I could have started this project in a place not Chicago. I'm eternally grateful and want to give back to Chicago in the way that it gave me.
What the archives gave to the world is profound.
Most of the nation's libraries and museums and archives are missing the Black narrative.
After 20-plus years, Julianna Richardson indeed has created her own legacy and has become a history maker herself.
Sometimes an oral history project takes the history world by storm. We think of the work of Studs Terkel and everything he did here in Chicago. He's the father of oral history. We think of Steven Spielberg and his Shoah project, which captured the stories of the Holocaust survivors. And we think of today's awardee, Julianna Richardson, founder of History Makers, the nation's largest African American video oral history collection. She was born in Pittsburgh, and Julianna got the history bug during a college project on Langston Hughes from the Harlem Renaissance. Then came Julianna's professional life with twists and turns, but it turns out that each part of her professional life set her up for founding History Makers. As a lawyer, she practiced in the corporate business area, but she became an advocate. She turned to media work. She did cable and TV production. That served her well. And then she also was an entrepreneur, actually creating startup. Put it all together, advocacy, media, entrepreneurship, and History Makers was born. Born because more than anything else, Julianna has the classic mindset of a founder. She saw something that was missing, and she resolved that she was the one who was going to make it happen. History, move over. Here comes Julianna. Now, the secret to oral history projects is that you have to do something more than preserving and sharing records. You have to create records that otherwise would not exist. I met Julianna first in 2005, and she was hard at work doing just that, creating records that did not already exist. I was amazed that 6 years into this project already, she was absolutely surrounded by her recordings. She was working in a very sophisticated way on the media. I remember she was working with Carnegie Mellon University on how to do searches involving keywords. Put in Selma, for example, and you would find all the places and all these records that someone had used the word Selma. She was truly ahead of her time. But what I learned at that time was the real secret of oral history in creating those records. What I learned was it takes very special skills to convince a person to share a personal story, and Julianna has those skills. It takes a deep sense of caring to assure an interviewee that those personal stories will be safeguarded, they'll be protected, especially in a social media world these days where so much can happen that actually can debase stories. Julianna has that deep sense of caring. It takes the loving kindness of a parent, both with the giants of history and with the everyday heroes, to reassure them that all will be well with their stories. And Julianna has that loving kindness. So far, over 2,000 individuals have embraced Julianna Richardson and the History Makers Project. The Chicago History Museum, with the deepest sense of admiration and gratitude, is proud to present the John Hope Franklin Making History Award for Historical Scholarship to Julianna Richardson.
Oh my God. Thanks, Gary T. Johnson, for that wonderful introduction. It was very, very important to me, and the greatest of honors, that you be the one to introduce me, for ours has been a very special 16-year relationship. Tonight, as we say in the Black community, I'm in high cotton with two of Chicago's finest, Ryne Sandberg, Hall of Famer, baseball legend, and Ken Griffin, businessman and philanthropist extraordinaire. I want to extend a special shout out to James Alexander, our supporter David Hillier, and History Makers Ralph Moore, who serve on the board, and trustee emeritus Libet Richter, and Sally Gaines. I also want to extend the warmest of welcomes, most importantly, to the new head of the Chicago History Museum, Donald Lassere, a fellow recovering lawyer and now head of this august institution. I welcome you to Chicago and look forward to working with you. My relationship with the museum goes back to the founding of the History Makers 21 years ago, when we were just an idea, formed on the advice and counsel of Archibald Motley and the ongoing sage input and advice of Russell Lewis, inspired also by the works of Studs Terkel and the respectful recordings that honored the likes of Black legends like Mahalia Jackson and Oscar Brown and Louis Armstrong and Marian Anderson and others, when being Black was anything but popular, maybe only curious. I would seek the advice and counsel of then head of the Chicago History Museum, Doug Greenberg, who went on to head Steven Spielberg's Shoah Foundation, and Lonnie Bunch, now the founding director of the Smithsonian Institution. But the relationship with Gary Johnson, as I said, had been a special one of true respect and mutual admiration. Both lawyers, sharing alma maters, coming together to share ideas and concepts, cheering our progress at each and every step, something that I will be forever grateful for. Our last meeting in his office, we were like children, regaling at the story of how the History Museum is now the proud repository of the Chicago Sun-Times Prize Photo Archives. You see, I came to Chicago 41 years ago. This great city has become my home. There is no other city in the United States that could have inspired me, served as our breeding ground, the launching pad for the History Makers, for, as you have heard, I was once this 9-year-old kid in an all-white, small Midwestern town who wanted so much for her sense of identity and one that she could call her own. I found that here, and I wanted to record and bring forth thousands of stories of African American achievers, alive with state-of-the-art technology for the world to see and experience. So for me to be honored in the same year that the Library of Congress, which serves as our permanent repository, gleefully spoke earlier this year of the magnificence of our collections, means more than what you will ever know. To be receiving this John Hope Franklin Award, named in honor of the greatest of our American scholars, conjures up memories of me traveling to Raleigh-Durham, surrounded by his wonderful orchids and the presence in this larger-than-life legacy when he patiently listened to my dream, only sending me away, not yet agreeing to be supportive, but later becoming one of our most ardent supporters. And then to be standing in the legacy of the Making History awardees, the ones who have come before me. Some of them have been wonderful supporters, and others are history makers whose stories are housed in our archives. There is no doubt that we live in challenging times, but these times also, as we come forward from this worldwide pandemic, can also be a pathway to our future and the opportunity to put forth and highlight the stories of the African American experience. We have seen over the last few years, with Technicolor cell phone coverage, the world of the Black community that few knew. It is a world that we often now are taking people inside the lives of Black people. I hope that our work with the museum will continue. I know it will. And so tonight, in honor of my late father, the golf instructor, Julianna Richardson, who's my namesake, in honor of my 91-year-old mother, Margaret Richardson, who still climbs our stairs and answers our phone, in honor of a great board of directors and a hardworking staff, and a special shout out to my chief of staff, Zoo's son, my project director, Courtney Sharif, and my videographer, who is here with me, as always, Matthew Hickey. In honor of all of those who have volunteered and supported us, you don't know what that support has meant. But tonight, I take special honor and delight that the main historic history institution in this town has seen fit to make me one of theirs. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for your important work, Julianna, and congratulations on your Making History Award. It's now time to learn about our last honoree of the night, a Chicagoan you surely know of, who has taken civic leadership and philanthropy to new heights, Ken Griffin.
Our final honoree was a math whiz and natural entrepreneur who started a successful software business in high school and later launched a career characterized by innovations and new ideas. But Ken Griffin wasn't the only one in his family with an entrepreneurial streak. His grandparents owned and operated a small business in Chicago's northern suburbs.
My grandfather was a great inspiration to me in how I thought about building Citadel and the importance of perseverance and hard work.
He dove into the stock market as a Harvard undergraduate and convinced the facilities manager to let him install a satellite dish on the roof of his dormitory so he could receive real-time stock quotes to trade convertible bonds. He launched his first fund shortly after his 19th birthday. After graduation, Griffin moved west to work at a Chicago investment firm, but he soon struck out on his own, starting a hedge fund with just 2 employees. 30 years later, Citadel employs more than 2,000 people and is recognized as one of the most successful and respected alternative investment firms in the world. Griffin is also a dedicated philanthropist and civic leader who has worked tirelessly to advance educational, civic, and cultural initiatives that create greater opportunity.
Nothing is more important to me than seeing that the children of our city have an opportunity for a world-class education. As such, I'm deeply invested in improving Chicago public schools, Chicago charter schools, and in closing the digital divide to ensure that every child in Chicago has the opportunity to advance and to succeed.
He serves on the Board of Trustees for the University of Chicago and the Board of Directors of the Chicago Public Education Fund, and has made transformational gifts to a number of the city's most important and beloved institutions. He's also a passionate supporter of the arts and serves on the boards of cultural institutions, including the Art Institute of Chicago and the Museum of Contemporary Art Chicago.
The arts are the soul of our city, and I believe that each of us, in experiencing the arts, has an opportunity for personal growth, and I'm incredibly proud to support the arts of our great city, where in so many ways we lead the world.
Chicago has been one of the greatest beneficiaries of Griffin's generosity. To date, he's given more than $350 million in support of Chicago organizations, institutions, and initiatives that enrich and enhance the lives of Chicagoans.
And I hope that the generations that follow me continue in this rich history of giving back to the city, which has given so much to us.
Good evening. It's a great honor to be with you tonight to recognize my good friend, Ken Griffin. Many of you know Ken's incredible business success story, how he started trading out of his dorm room as a 19-year-old Harvard student and went on to start Citadel just a few years later. Most young people in their early 20s are just starting to figure out what they want to do with their life, but not Ken. He was well on his way by 1990, establishing an investment firm that would become one of the most renowned and successful in the world. You probably also know Ken for his almost unparalleled civic leadership and philanthropy. He serves on several boards that are making a big impact, and he has given more than $1 billion to a wide range of educational and cultural organizations and causes, many of them cherished institutions right here in Chicago, For example, the Anne and Robert Lurie Children's Hospital, the Field Museum of Natural History, the Art Institute of Chicago, the Museum of Contemporary Art, the University of Chicago, and the Museum of Science and Industry, to name just a few. Ken's business leadership on a global scale and his passion for giving back are truly extraordinary. But I want to take a minute to tell you about another side of Ken, the caring individual who I'm proud to call one of my best friends. Many people don't know this, but Ken and I are friends today thanks to an astute doorman in the building where we were both living 25 years ago. The doorman thought if there were only two people in the building that would get along, it would be Ken and me. The setup, if you will, was a success, and the two of us eventually went out to dinner. I remember coming home that night and telling my wife, Andy, that my brain was tired from working so hard to keep up with Ken. It was obvious from the moment I met him that he was one of the smartest and most passionate people I had ever encountered. That was only the beginning for us. We've shared more laughs and great adventures than I can even begin to recount here. If you're lucky enough to be friends with Ken, you know that he is all in, no matter what he's doing. He sets an amazingly high bar for himself and aims to do and be the best at everything he devotes his time to, whether it's conquering the business world, throwing himself into philanthropy and civic leadership, collecting art, living an adventurous life like racing cars, or being a hands-on, attentive dad to his three wonderful kids. Ken is also always there for his friends in a personal and very meaningful way, like he was for me 15 years ago when my father passed away. For 1 week after the funeral, Ken called to check on me every single night. That's just the kind of friend he is, compassionate, empathetic, and understanding. But it's more than that. Ken cares about people, and that extends to those he doesn't even know, like the underprivileged kids who now get the chance to attend Harvard thanks to his enormous gift in support of need-based financial aid. Ken's generosity is like a sphere that keeps getting bigger. As it becomes more and more successful, the circle expands. More people are helped and more lives are changed. So I think it's perfect that this year's Making History Awards are honoring Ken for distinction in civic leadership. He has made history in so many ways, as a businessman, as a leader and philanthropist, and as a friend to so many. There's no one quite like him in all of Chicago, or anywhere for that matter. Congratulations, Ken.
Jim, thank you for the kind words. And more importantly, thank you for everything you have done for Chicago. First, I want to recognize the outstanding team at the Chicago History Museum. We all appreciate your dedication to sharing Chicago stories to inspire learning and civic engagement. And I'd like to congratulate my fellow honorees, Julianna Richardson and Ryan Sandberg, who have contributed so much to our community. We all share a love of Chicago and a passion for making it even better. My passion is focused on education. My teachers, tutors, and mentors have driven my belief in the power of education to create opportunities for all. Over the past 3 decades, I have partnered with dedicated leaders in the hopes of securing a better future for the students of our city. Daniel Burnham once said, "Make no little plans. They have no magic in them to stir men's blood. Make big plans, aim high, in hope and work." The bold actions we've taken together would make Daniel proud. When the pandemic intensified the effects of the digital divide for Chicago students, our civic leadership came together to ensure internet access for children across the city through the crisis and beyond. Chicago Connected has served as an inspiration for our nation, and we should all take pride in what we accomplished together. That's the story of Chicago, a city that comes together time and time again, that rises to challenges and uplifts one another. Just as I've hoped to create opportunities for others, I am grateful for the opportunities that Chicago has created for Citadel and for me. Chicago has been a great place to build a business, and over the course of our 30-year history, we've been able to attract thousands of people to join us here. I'm proud of the impact my colleagues have had both at work and in our community. I admire them for their willingness to lead and to make a difference. May all of us continue in our quest to make Chicago the greatest city in the world.
Thank you, Ken, for your passion and generosity. Congratulations on your award. And congratulations to all of our 2021 recipients. They join a prestigious group of 119 other Making History Award winners. We thank them all for their lasting contributions to Chicago, our country, and the world. Thank you for being with us tonight to share in their stories. Now I'd like to introduce the chair of Making History Awards Committee, Greg Goldner, who has some final words.
Good evening. My name is Greg Goldner. I'm a trustee of the museum and have been fortunate to chair the Making History Awards Committee for the past 4 years. Congratulations again to all our deserving honorees this year. We are so happy to share your remarkable stories this evening, and we're happy to report that we raised over $1 million tonight. On behalf of the entire committee and museum, I want to express our gratitude for all Making History Award supporters this year. A full list of our donors will follow in the credits, but I'd like to specifically thank our co-chair and vice chair sponsors for their incredible leadership gifts tonight. Donor support is so critical to advancing the mission and important work of the Chicago History Museum. You can give anytime at www.chicagohistory.org/MHA or text CHM to 243-725. I'd also like to thank other members of our awards committee who help the museum put on the event each year. They will be listed in the credits at the conclusion of this program. Thank you all again for being with us tonight and for supporting the Chicago History Museum.
Thank you, Greg. What a remarkable program. I'm so happy to have had the chance to share with you tonight what the museum is up to and to watch another year of deserving honorees receive their awards. I want to thank you personally for watching tonight and for continuing to support the Chicago History Museum. Your contributions will help ensure that the museum remains an important part of the fabric of this great city. Now that we're able to get out and about a bit more, be sure to buy your tickets online and visit us soon. I look forward to actually seeing you all next year for the 28th Making History Awards in June of 2022. We do hope to be in person then as we again gather to honor another terrific group of history makers. Thank you and good night.
The 27th Annual Making History Awards are generously underwritten by Bartlett Beck, the Crown Family, GCM Grosvenor, Andy and Jim Gordon, Judy and Leonard Lauder, Pritzker Foundation, Patrick G. and Shirley W. Ryan, Sidley, Trott Family Philanthropies, Abbott, Adam Street Partners Bon and Holly French, the Bloom Family Charitable Foundation, Anna and Greg Brown, Janet and Craig Duchessois, Michael and Jackie Farrow, Mary and Paul Finnegan, David Hero and Jay Frankie, Freed Frank, Matt Gibson Goldman Sachs, ITW, J. Christopher and Ann N. Reyes Foundation, Lori and Jude Reyes, Robert R. McCormick Foundation, John W. and Jean M. Rowe, Julie and Brian Simmons, Jennifer Staines and Jim Castenholtz, Robin Staines and Leonard Gale, Liz Stiffel, Tawani, and the Wilson Garling Foundation. Congratulations and thanks to all of tonight's honorees for your valuable contributions to Chicago.